What's up everybody, welcome back to another installment in the Armchair Analyst series where we take a deep dive into a single map and break down all the crucial moments you may have missed. In this episode we're going to be analysing the second map in the incredible series between both LA teams that closed out the first day of Week 3. Noting that the LA Valiant were just barely excluded from the Stage 1 playoffs after an impressive introduction to the league, and also that the Gladiators have recently been adjusting their roster to accommodate ex-London Spitfire player Fisher, it's evident that this match had all the makings to be something special, and with the uproarious hometown crowd, it certainly didn't fail to deliver. So we're here today to discuss exactly what contributed to the Gladiators sweeping one of the top teams in the league in the battle for LA supremacy. Before we get into things, as usual, I just want to give a huge shout out to the team at StatBanana for sharing their work with the greater Overwatch community. These top-down maps are of such a high fidelity, they very easily could have been held exclusively for use by official coaches and analysts in the league and throughout contenders. There's a link in the description which takes you to the website where you can find one of these for every single map in the game, so again, huge thanks to them. If you're new here, feel free to subscribe so you never miss a day of content, but with that, let's jump right into the analysis. As always, just prior to the initial engagement, let's first take a look at the opposing compositions. Both teams decide to run the tank-heavy Moira composition with a few key differences. LA Valiant chose to run triple tank, meaning that theoretically, Unchar's Coalescence should be charging at a considerably higher rate than that of Shaz on the side of the Gladiators, who only has 2 high HP targets to heal. Rather than running 3 tanks, the Gladiators favour a lineup of 2 support, 2 tank, and 2 DPS heroes, the latter of which is rather interesting as we can see hydration on the Doomfist. A rare choice in any situation throughout the league, but hydration has proven more than anyone else that not only can the Doomfist pick be viable, but it's actually quite capable of stumping enemy compositions if executed correctly. It's not a pick that you would necessarily expect right off the bat, although it certainly makes a lot of sense on this map over others. The initial engagement speaks volumes to this, as clearly the intent is to have Doomfist charge head-on into the opposing forces and splatter them onto the walls of the narrow corridors surrounding the objective, one of the more frequently congested sections of any map in the game. Immediately it becomes apparent that the Valiant were not ready to deal with this and motioned backwards, giving up the point momentarily as to do battle in a more spacious environment. Upon re-engaging, we actually see something really fascinating. The words on the screen clearly say stunned, yet it appears as though no one on the side of Valiant is capable of knocking hydration down in such a manner. Even when slowing things down, it still seems as though nothing out of the ordinary happened, but the only explanation here is that Fate actually triggered his charge ability just a fraction of a second prior to being knocked away from his team. In reacting this fast, Fate keeps hydration in line of sight with his team for an easy kill. Quickly traded out in spite of a bubble from Kareev, Fate is similarly dispatched off with ease as the fight balances out to a 5v5 scenario. Observing ultimates, as mentioned prior, Unco was indeed the first to acquire his Coalescence and activates it almost immediately to keep his tanks alive as they start to pick up the aggression. A full charge Zarya proves to be a nuisance on the point, but in the background we notice that whilst the entirety of the purple team is distracted on point, Soon sends his Tyre in for a quick kill onto Bishu. A plethora of ults are activated in sequence as this initial fight continues to display just how closely matched these two teams really are. Shaz uses his Coalescence whilst Asher triggers his Deadeye, but it's too little too late as Soon pulls off some tremendous plays on Junkrat off screen, sealing the deal for his team and enabling the Valiant to start making progress on the point. Without hesitating, members of the Valiant pressure forward, a tactic frequently employed on this map, as to keep the opposing forces bottled up in one of only 2 small entrances. This means that in order for the Gladiators to even so much as make their way back to the objective, they have to fight for it in a disadvantageous position where they're susceptible to flankers on either side of the doorway. In a brief lapse of judgment, or perhaps a bout of miscommunication from their newest signee, Fisher attempts to pin Fate but is pulled ever so slightly out of his way thanks to the well-timed Graviton from Kareev. Not only does this mean that Fisher failed to find the crucial pick onto Fate, but it now also means that the rest of the Gladiators are without their primary shield, as he charges entirely out of position. A combination of devastating ultimates from the side of the Valiant leads to an efficient team wipe to stall the Gladiators and build real percentage towards closing out the round. Returning to the same doorway once again, a pick from Unco onto hydration stalls the push once again as a Tyre from Soon comes out to ensure that the Gladiators have to regroup in spawn. Due to the remarkable stalling effort from the Valiant, the Gladiators now have all 6 ultimates at the ready for the next engagement. Worthy of note, however, is that the control point is now ticking upwards of 60%, a pretty incredible showing considering that the first battle was the only true team fight we've seen thus far. Just when the Gladiators think they might finally have an opening to gain some ground and move in, Soon wipes out Asher from afar, causing the Gladiators to back up yet again. With all 6 ultimates in play, you would assume that entering the next engagement with a Sound Barrier or Coalescence already in effect would be the wise thing to do. Another option would be to enter through the upper doorway with Lucio's speed boost as to completely ignore the Valiant in the choke and simply fight on the point instead, since absolutely nothing has worked just yet and time is really ticking down. Siding with the first option, the Coalescence comes out from Shaz as to ensure that his team makes it through the choke point relatively unscathed. A counter Coalescence comes out but serves little purpose as the Gladiators chose to play patiently for the time being. Finally engaging on the point for what will now be the last fight if Gladiators fall here, their communication is on point as they enter in accordance with the sound barrier in play. Yet another counter support ult comes out to keep the playing field as even as possible. Both Gravitons are fired at will, however it is Kareev's that seems to be the most potent from this angle, capturing and eliminating Big Goose and Bishu. The reason being is that Kareev faced no opposition whatsoever when positioning his Black Hole. As we mentioned earlier, the Gladiators sided with 2 DPS heroes over the triple tank composition, sacrificing the D.Va in place of a Doomfist, thus no defense matrix was ready to consume the devastating ultimate from Kareev. It's now a 5v4 battle on the point as Hydration singles out Unko with his ultimate in the background. Shaz capitalizes on killing the low HP Junkrat in front of him, whilst Fisher deals with the low HP Ryan, and then suddenly, as the clock rolls into overtime, it's the Gladiators with the advantage here now. They had to utilize all 6 ultimates to flip the point, but the situation at hand necessitated such an investment as it really was all or nothing. Swapping from the Zarya, we notice Bishu move onto the D.Va. Perhaps this was in a moment of desperation when respawning, as D.Va is certainly a hero who is able to make it all the way back to the point much quicker than Zarya. Before the Gladiators can really set up their defensive effort and potentially push forward to the choke to seek some stalling revenge, Valiant are already back to the point and ready for the next fight. Soon activates his tire and is wise to send it around the long flanking route to catch an unsuspecting Asher and nearly a coalescing Shaz as well. A few moments of wild play follow as neither team really deals all too much damage. That is until Fisher charges himself out of position once again and needs a well-placed fire strike from Fate. Speaking of being out of position, however, at this point in time, from this point of view, one would definitely assume that Hydration would be the next to fall. He's completely separated from his team and in the back lines of the Valiant. Yet arguably the best Doomfist in the league defies expectations yet again, perfectly finishing off Unko and moving on to dispatch soon with some well-placed shots. Whilst the battle continues on the point, Hydration all but ensured a teamfight victory in favour of the Gladiators as he continues to style on the opposition who to this point has shown no answer to the Fist of Doom. Perhaps a McCree swap from Soon would be the most apt response here, as Zenyatta would also be highly beneficial to deal with the Doomfist, but when running a triple tank composition, the Lucio pick simply cannot be sacrificed as the slow moving tanks need that little bump in mobility just to compete. Re-engaging once again, Valiant leave their backline exposed to flankers as they push onto the point in symmetrical fashion to the opposition. Adjusting their positioning immediately, the 3 tank ults come out at the exact same time. An odd and often unnecessary investment, as whilst they continue playing with greed at the forefront of their mind, they turn their backs to an ulting Asher, who drastically swings the teamfight with his Deadeye from up high. This forces a retreat, and at this point it's fascinating to look back at how both teams nearly lost this map simply due to their refusal or inability to adapt. Gladiators refused to make adjustments when being held in the choke, whilst Valiant refused to make adjustments when doing battle with a less than orthodox composition featuring a well-versed Doomfist. Approaching the point for the final time, we do actually see Kareev swap onto the McCree in a last-ditch effort. Right off the bat, he's involved in an interesting moment as the sound barriers come in from both sides of the point. Asher stuns Kareev first and fans the hammer, but to no avail. Kareev returns the stun in kind, but teamwork proves too strong a factor as Bishu comes up from behind and absorbs every shot aimed at Asher. A great reaction from the Gladiators as they single out a target and clean up the kill. Soon's Riptire is taken out as Hydration plummets onto the backline of the Valiant once again, assisting in every kill to close out the point and secure the round win. A really great turnaround from the Gladiators. Perhaps it's safe to assume that the opposing team underestimated their opponents coming into the Battle of LA.
They may have it. We're into OT. It's 99-99, and Gladiators getting the kills they need to take the round.
Moving into the second round, let's once again take a look at the opposing compositions coming out from either team. As we can see, both teams decide to open with Pharah taking up one of the DPS slots. The only discernible difference between the opposing teams is that Valiant go with the Mercy over the Zen in the secondary support slot. No real strategical advantage for either team is present early on, other than that Kareev will theoretically receive slightly more healing than Hydration. Both teams press forward through the bridge portions of the map, a risky play when running into a Pharah. However, this threat is easily mitigated by the D.Vas on both teams who can simply absorb the concussive blasts. The first pick comes out in favour of the Valiant as Kareev connects with Asher. One pick is all it really takes for Gladiators to slightly pull back and play with patience in mind, giving up the point momentarily. Asher takes out Soon as Unko and Shaz activate their support ultimates already. A lot of kills come in off screen, forcing an early point flip in favour of the Gladiators. Soon goes for a really clever flank here and scouts out the positioning of anyone he sees or hears close by. He comes ever so close to landing a devastating pulse bomb, but accidentally made the most minute error fathomable. Instead of dashing a few degrees either direction of his current position, he accidentally dashes onto the tiny set of stairs, elevating his position in such a typically unnoticeable fashion, yet it proved to be severely detrimental in this very rare instance. Unable to really get anything going, Fate and Soon are quickly taken out as the Gladiators need not invest a single ultimate in this engagement. With momentum seemingly deflated at this point, heroes or tactics need to shift in order for Valiant to swing this one around. Perhaps swapping off of the Pharah to a McCree and taking closer engagements by entering the point through the opposite side of the map would have been a wise decision. Shutting down hydration by cutting off sightlines, minimizing the effectiveness of Pharah on this map. Opening the next battle, the rocket barrage from hydration is shut down by the sound barrier from Verbo, as Asher quickly finds an early kill onto Soon. Kariv gets so damn unlucky in this moment as he activates his ultimate to no avail. He gets hydration down to a mere 3 HP, but the kill barely slips through his fingers as hydration escapes to deal a hefty amount of damage in return as Asher closes out the kill. Now nearing 60% on the point, Envy really should have been left with no choice but to try and flee from this losing battle. Despite the player disadvantage, he still uses his self-destruct for some reason. At this point in the fight, all you're really doing here is, at best, sitting around the point dealing poke damage whilst the rest of your team respawns, and at worst, feeding massive amounts of ult charge to the opposition. The risk certainly doesn't seem worthwhile, and hydration makes sure it was the wrong decision as he gets 2 crucial kills to wind things down once again. With one more fight left to flip the point, Valiant is sticking to what they know, keeping the same composition and entering over the bridge once again. Hydration really proves to be the MVP of this map, putting on a show as Doomfist in the first round and nailing all the crucial picks as Pharah in the second. As we can see, he picks off Verbo just as the fight is about to commence, forcing the res from Unko, something that the Valiant certainly could have used on a higher value target later on in the fight. Stalling out the point to the best of his ability, Soon stays alive and deals a little damage to hydration. The reason he throws his pulse bomb out at this moment, while seemingly wasteful, you have to acknowledge that this could have very well been the last opportunity for him. It's almost always better to attempt to use an ultimate at the end of the round than to die and have that ultimate go unused. Continuing to stay alive on the point, Soon pulls off his best Sabiorby impression, doing as much as he can whilst keeping the point in play for his team. Thanks to his tremendous effort, the Valiant are actually able to retake the point as finally a teamfight goes in their favour on this map. At 99% however, the Gladiators are in a position wherein they only need to win a single teamfight to take the round and win the map. Never a fun position to play in if you're on the defensive side of things. Doing battle once again, Kariv deals quite a bit of damage from a relatively uncontested position in the sky. Meanwhile, Soon lands the pulse bomb onto Bishu, but Shaz's Transcendence is there to heal him back up with ease. For some reason, Kariv drops to a lower position in the midst of things and is quickly dispatched over by hydration. He was essentially landing free damage in his previous position, and the position of the engagement hadn't changed, so I'm not quite sure what benefit he saw in floating back down. Hydration awkwardly falls to the low ground as well, actually entering a close range fight, but is narrowly able to avoid demise as he picks up the mega health pack behind him and propels away. A few trades come in for the Gladiators as suddenly the team fight begins to swing in their favour. Tanks on the side of Valiant attempt to stall things out as best as possible, but it's clear to see that it's only a matter of time before the point is flipped and the round is wrapped up. The sheer player advantage is enough to shut down any minor stalling attempt, barring some truly miraculous play from the Valiant. Doing their job from here on out, the Gladiators focus their attention on one opponent at a time, swiftly dispatching them all and forcing out the map win. Going into this battle for LA, the Gladiators were unsurprisingly huge underdogs. Their stage 1 record, whilst not poor at all, certainly wasn't anywhere near the caliber of the Valiant. Also, it would be fair to assume that they're still working through acclimating Fisher and figuring out the language barrier issues. Thus, a sweep of the series was something no one predicted. Against all odds, the Gladiators kept their shields up and successfully clipped the wings of the Valiant. A really great performance throughout the series is a testament to their excellent practice, exemplified with their great strategies throughout this map, as well as their DPS lineup, evident with Hydration's breakout performance. So that's it for our analysis today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments below and let me know if there are any particular maps you'd like to see in focus next, but as always, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.